awards and leaderboards. Who uses Foursquare? All right. So basically the idea behind Foursquare is that wherever I go, I check in. So I check into the State Theatre. In fact, my last check-in there was at the State Theatre Centre, because I screen grabbed this yesterday. And that kind of, alerts everybody who is connected to you as to where you are and what you're doing. So if you say, I'm in town, I'm at this particular coffee stop, and there happens to be somebody nearby, you might just drop in and say hello. It's never happened to me. Nice idea, never happened. The progress bar in the middle, interestingly, what about this is shows me the points that I've. So I get a point for every check-in, or I might get the first time I check in somewhere, I get more points. If I check in the most on one particular location, I become the mayor of that location. And if I check into certain types of things, like lots and lots of nightclubs or whatever, I get a badge that says you're out there doing it every night, whatever. So it's about collecting points, it's about collecting mayorships, it's about collecting badges. And there's a lot of people who really love this kind of stuff. Now, interestingly, the check-ins that Facebook now has, so you can check in on Facebook. Foursquare kind of got there first, but Facebook has sort of integrated it with events and so on now. So when you check in, you can not just check into a place, you can check into an event, which is kind of interesting. But here you'll see, what they do is they have a leaderboard as well, where you compete with people who are in your social network. I was going to make some gag about beating Elliot, but Elliot's probably like Foursquare, so yesterday it doesn't really matter anymore. So I'm going to put that one aside. But I got 4 whole mayorships. I'm the mayor of my local bottle shop. I'm not sure if that is a good thing or a bad thing, but it's interesting. Have a play with it. The other one here is a Sundance Festival in the US, and they used a kind of similar process, but what they did was that they clustered together groups of local businesses, so whether it's cafes or restaurants or craft stores or whatever, and encouraged people to check in to these particular businesses from their iPhone app. If they checked in, they get discounts. So I guess that's the other incentive to check in. If I check in 3 times, I get my 4th coffee free and all that sort of stuff. Most of these kind of incentives are pretty lame, it has to be said. I thought this was a good example of a festival working with local businesses and encouraging people to participate. If you check into all of the places within a particular cluster, you get a badge. What you do with the badge, that's up to you. Appy Snap, this is one which mixes iPhoneography we were talking about earlier with this idea of gamification. It sets daily challenges and says, okay, today we're going to do a self-portrait, or today we're going to do street life, or a whole bunch of other things. We've seen some examples, and I think what we're looking at here, the reference to the sponsor, is a sort of way in, and not necessarily a sponsor, but it could be a partner, which is today's challenge is to take a photo related to either a local coffee shop or your cultural institution or whatever it is that you want to do.